evening, everybody. Andy Rosenfarb here. Thank you for joining us tonight. So this conversation we're going to have about alchemizing stress, the shine and the shade. This conversation has come up for me over the past week or two. It's some ideas that I've been thinking about, but I've been having conversations with some family, some friends, some patients, just people in general. And a lot of people are struggling. So the intention of this call is to help not only you, if you're, kind of dealing with some stress and you're having some difficulties just processing it, or you feel overwhelmed, or just want to feel better, just kind of to appreciate things a little bit more and to just get maybe some sanity or just a little clarity or just feel better. So that's the purpose of this conversation. We're going to hit a lot of content today, and we'll probably go maybe about 45 minutes. If you have any questions, please, type them in the comment bar. And let's start with where are you from? Where are you guys? There's a bunch of you guys here. Let me know where you're from. We'll, kind of take a look there, a little inventory of where you guys are in from. So the first thing I want to talk about is, why are we stressed out? Look, there's a lot going on right now. All right. There just is. Okay. We're dealing with, again, things like COVID. We're dealing with some states are looking at shutdowns. There's economic issues. There's obviously some political issues. Some people are looking at, difficulties maybe losing their job or restructuring how they're working. We have kids. For those of you guys who've had kids, we're doing virtual learning, which presents a lot of new challenges. So over the past, 8 to 10 months, we've really been hit with a lot of new information, some scary, but it's just different. It's different than what our usual routine is. And it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. Some people adapt really well and they just kind of figure it out and move forward. And some people have even done really well with this stuff. But there's, the other side of people who are, struggling a little bit and really just overwhelmed and overburdened and stressed out. And, sometimes we find ourselves polarizing on one side or another, whether it's your political views or you kind of left or right or in the middle somewhere, or completely indifferent and abstaining, or you for masks, or you're against masks, or you're, for the lockdowns, against the lockdowns, for, social distancing, or that's not big, so again, this isn't a judgment of what's right or wrong, or what's appropriate or not appropriate. It's just to appreciate that there are different views. And sometimes those views, the more we cling to those and the more we dig our heels in when it comes to these perspectives, without really appreciating the other side, it can create some stress for some people. So that's why we look at the shade and the shine. In Chinese medicine, we talk about the yin and yang. So yin and yang is, if you guys aren't familiar with that, it's the round circle with the the light and dark on each side. One's white, one's dark, and then in the center of each, there's the opposite color as well. So the dark side has a white dot and the white side has a dark dot. So inside that conversation, we really want to understand that there's two sides to every situation. In this it's a natural law that there is two sides. There's dark, there's light, there's hot, there's cold, there's male, there's female, there's left, there's right, there's up, there's down. So creating context and perspective may help. Okay, so when we're looking to improve our situation, or we're struggling where we're at, there's two things we really need to look at when we start with this. The first is, where am I at now? Okay, what's going on? We need to just stop. We're going on a train. We have we see our emotions are kind of maybe high or low. Either we're anxious, we're worrying, we're depressed, we're irritable, we're maybe even raging a little bit. Or we're just hurting, just sad. Sometimes I've seen a lot of posts, people just sad and grief, and maybe you're excited. There's a new time in your life, and you just want more love and more happiness and more freedom of expression, and wherever you're at, that's great. but it's an indicator. Wherever you're at right now is an indicator of what you want or what you're resisting, like what we're moving in the direction of, or maybe what you're kind of pushing up against. So the first stage is to just really look, take an inventory, slow down and say, like, where am I right now? Where am I financially? Where am I with my health? Where am I emotionally and psychologically? Am I stressed out? And how stressed out am I? Like on a 1 to 5, 5 being like, I'm out of my freaking mind, and 1 being, I'm chill, I'm pretty good. I'm not really affected by this external stuff or internal emotions that are being generated. So the second part is I audit, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute, where I am now versus where do I want to be. All right, so that's we have to know where we're going. Like when we get in the car and we put in a GPS, we want to go somewhere, like you have to put a destination in, right? We have a start from where we're leaving our house from or our office or wherever, and then the destination is where we're going. So if there's no destination, then we're not really going to be productive in moving in terms of the direction, although sometimes just wandering around has its own value and merit as well. So from A to B, we call this the gap, right? This is a space or a space between here and there, where we are now and where we want to be. And we start looking at the facts, like, okay, this is where I'm at, this is what's going on. We take this inventory of what is the current situation, not what was, not what could be, just what is now. Like, on this day, November 12th, which is where at the time of the recording, where am I? Like, what's going on in the world externally and what's going on for me? So we want to kind of look at both of those. We want to look at the external and internal, check in with ourselves. So after we take an inventory of the facts, right, just get the facts, like take the emotion away from it for a second, and just an audit of what's going on. Maybe, it might be a good practice for you if you guys have pen and paper, you guys journal, just write down. I like to write down sometimes, where I'm at, what's going on, maybe list all the things that are going on that maybe are bothering me or I'm not uncomfortable with, or that are showing up for me, or maybe they're good things. Maybe you're going to list, some things that are really good for you. But whatever's coming up, whatever's present for you, just get it out. Just write it down and just get present to that. So after we get the facts, the next thing we're going to move to is we're going to allow ourselves to have the experience of appreciating how we feel about it, right? Because we all have opinions. We have thoughts about certain things, and then we have feelings about those things, right? So feelings can be a host of different things. They can be positive, they can be negative, they can be neutral, they can be things that we're just non-emotional about. So, specific to this conversation, if you're dealing with some negative emotions around any of these factors that are going on right now, you're not alone. And one of the biggest issues that people deal with is things like isolation, or trust, or, dealing with a lot of fear and anxiety of like kind of panicking about like the future and stuff like that. Or maybe you're angry, or worrying, or maybe you're just totally apathetic and you're like, I don't even care anymore. You're kind of like just throwing your hands up and like whatever. Or we're dealing with some resignation, like, there's nothing really I can do, or, it is what it is, kind of that type of thing. And even so, I've talked to a lot of people who are, feeling helpless and hopeless, and, even to the level of despair. And, we talked about that, some level of sadness. So point is that there's all these different variety of awesome, amazing emotions that we can have, right? And sometimes they don't feel so good, but it's just when I've come up against some of this resistance recently, for me, it was the realization that, hey, this is an opportunity to kind of slow down a little bit and unpack some of my issues, some of my resistance, or some things that are triggering me, or like my family, my wife, my kids, or anything like that. So we have these conversations, and just getting clear about what's going on and how we feel about it is liberating. That's acknowledging, that is valuing ourselves, that's valuing our own opinions, that's creating a space for us to be real, to be real and raw inside this conversation of where are we now, again, whether it's politically, whether it's economically, whether it's from a health perspective, or, for me, one of the big things is I like to travel a lot. travel is like huge for me. Every, 2 months or so, I usually travel. So through this COVID thing, I was really struggling for a while with not being able to move around, go away and go to the islands or go teach. I teach a lot, do my live classes. Those had to be canceled. So again, it's the disappointment often of what was and what we want and kind of what should be. We kind of have this like, well, it should be like that. I shouldn't have to be locked down. I should be able to travel. I get it, but so what? We have to kind of go to this. Things suck right now for a lot of people, and things are looking really positive for some people. But if you're kind of, in the shade on the negative side or in the shine where things are doing well for you, so what? It's like, okay, so what are you going to do with that? It's okay if you feel bad, but we want to, and you're stressed out, we want to unpack that and not be victimized by these negative emotions, not be consumed, right? The days that I had spent, really either polarized or just feel like my, brain and emotions were hijacked with all the stuff going on, especially, I had a couple of days where I usually don't watch the news too much or pay too much attention to that, but it really can. I mean, maybe not for you, but, for me, I was having some experiences where I was feeling like my emotions were hijacked and they're almost being like manipulated a little bit. So I had to unplug a little bit and just kind of retune into myself, whether that's meditation, working out, just hanging out with my family, going hiking, playing, just throwing the ball around, whatever it was, to just kind of disconnect from whatever that perceived negativity or stress of source stress is. So again, this is an opportunity to just audit, like what things could be triggering you, what things are you upset about, what things are you concerned about? That's you're allowed to be concerned. Did you know that? You are. You're allowed to be concerned about certain things, but we need to appreciate how stressed we're getting, and is it getting to a point where it's taking us out of balance? To be concerned and monitor situations and just be aware, is one thing. To just be aware and be on our toes and, be, able to shift and adapt based on, the changing, circumstances for sure. We want to be sharp. We want to be alert. You don't want to like bliss out and totally, I mean, maybe there's some value in that too on occasion, but certainly when there's a lot shifting in the, with all these factors going on, we want to stay healthy. We want to stay aware, alert and focused, but we also want to recognize that if we shift too far either way, if we kind of bliss out on the shine side, like everything's great, it's going to be great, everything's like that. That could be a trap too, just as much as falling into the dark side, just really going negative and going into deep shade in the shadows where things are dark and they're not, we're not feeling so good. We're feeling overcast. We're feeling, lack of inspiration and lack of connection, more isolation and more pain, right? We're just feeling emotional pain and discomfort. So the awareness that, hey, I'm having these negative thoughts and feelings, and what's the impact? We know without question, a lot of you guys on this call have some health issues. A lot of you deal with eye issues. A lot of you are dealing, or you have maybe a friend or family. So we know that stress tends to go to the weakest area. So if you have a predisposition for heart disease or vision issues or digestive issues or menstrual issues or headaches or whatever your disposition, your weaker area on your physiology goes, it's certainly going to amplify those symptoms. You're going to get more headaches when you're stressed out. Your vision may start to dim a little bit. Our brain, we know, doesn't function it functions differently under stress. Like as we enter this fight or flight response, we tend to have to go into battle. We're either going to go into battle or we're going to retreat or we're going to freeze. Fight, flight, or fright. It could be deer in the headlights response as well. So acute stress, like our bodies can handle. But if the stress is going on for months, weeks, years, as it has been for a lot of us, these days, there can be we're redlining our system, right? What happens when, you drive a car and, you just redline it, what happens is the engine heats up and it starts to break down a little bit. We push too hard. So we have to check in with our bodies and kind of see, is the stress impacting my physical vitality, my well-being? And more than just my body, what other areas can stress be affecting? Is it affecting my work, my ability to focus and produce at work? Be positive and productive in my work environment. How am I interacting with those that I'm trying to serve, with my staff, with my vendors, things like that? How about my relationships? Is the stress or all of what's going on impacting your primary relationship, maybe with your nuclear family, with your partners, your husbands, your wives, your partners, your children, your parents, cousins, aunts, and uncles, close friends, whatever? Are you like shutting down? Are you combative with them? Are you polarizing? Are you seeing that? Of course, we see a lot more of that, going on since I guess February. Also, our own emotional well-being. I just don't feel right inside my body because I'm harboring a lot of tension and stress. So there can have this like cascade effect where it really just starts to affect a lot of areas of our lives. So there's this cost, right? There's this cost of allowing this stress into our field, or maybe like we didn't choose to. So maybe we didn't choose this circumstance. We didn't choose COVID. We didn't choose, to have all this, and we feel upset about it. We feel, angry at COVID, or we feel angry at the government, or we feel angry at other people for not being, respecting social distance or wearing masks, or, we're angry at the election process for, whichever side you're on, or we're angry because I need to work and, daycare is closing down and my kids have to go to school, and maybe like you're paying for college or private school and your kids are home, and, all these like things that like resistance we come against of the way things should have been, that builds up over time. It really, really can kind of hit us hard, especially if it's prolonged and it's just, we don't get a break from this. If you guys feeling like that at all, like just not getting a break. It's like, come on, you just want some relief already. So, what happens is when we deal with this stress, there's research that shows that there are certain parts of our brain that in a relaxed state, these areas of creative problem solving that allow us to adapt and allow us to figure out creative solutions to the problems that we're dealing with. Again, if they're external problems, dealing with, things that more logistical stuff, or emotional problems and resistance of factors and circumstances, like how do I simply just feel better versus like problem solve what's going on. But in a high stress state, we call like high beta brainwave activity, that capacity to access creative problem solving is shut down. So it's important for those of us who want to, find our way out of it, to kind of come up with creative solutions to these problems that we're dealing with, whether it's mental problems, emotional problems, health problems, or just dealing with stuff like, how do I deal with this? I can't, I just, hear so many people all the time, I just can't deal with this anymore. Like, I just want this whole thing to be over. Like, that's resistance. That's a capacity thing. So we've hit capacity. You got two decisions when we hit capacity. We could either decompress, if we have a container, say it's like a cup, you have a cup here. So the cup fills, it has a capacity of what can be held in here, right? So we could either spill some water out and reduce the amount so the cup doesn't overflow, or we could simply get a bigger cup where our capacity is going to improve to handle more stuff, right? But when we're stressed out, that capacity, the cup gets smaller and smaller, and everything overflows, and we experience overwhelm. We start to shut down, and whatever your emotion or negative emotion that is, kind of your go-to is going to show up, whether it's anxiety, whether it's worry, whether it's sadness, whether it's anger, whether it's fear, whether it's just upset, whether it's, just heartache. So again, just understanding that, knowing that what the stress is doing is it's really shutting my brain down. I can't think clearly, right? You ever have that? Maybe it's just me. So the problem is that, the real problem is not the politics. It's not, yes, I mean, yeah, to a certain degree, for sure. People are, COVID's killing people. There are, we're hoping vaccines come out, or, whatever happens, the situation can certainly improve, and we could keep people safe and healthy for sure. So, but we can look at the symptoms. These are all the factors that are going on. But the problem is, for us personally, is that we're living in the past, right? We just talked about that a little while ago. We're talking about what was and what should be based on the old ways of doing things. So we're comparing now to these old narratives, these old patterns, these old ways of doing things. Or we are, judging of, or catastrophizing, or romanticizing a imaginary narrative of what we want to be. So we kind of create these utopias, and we're kind of either set, if we're catastrophizing, we're kind of, we know how that goes. But if we're hyper romanticizing, we could be setting ourselves up for disappointment. So we kind of want to watch that on the end. So again, I want to guard against, comparing to what we think should be relative to now, and either catastrophizing or romanticizing what we're seeing is a possible future, right? Because the future isn't written, we don't know. So we kind of want to just let the world, life, this experience of life just unfold, just allow it to do its thing, and just be okay with it, right? But that's more of the solution, and we're going to get to that. But really, it comes down to this: like, how much longer are we going to allow ourselves to continue to exist in this stress state, in this state of comparing old narratives and old stories to what should be, or catastrophizing of, like, the coming end of the world, or romanticizing that, everything's just, utopia is going to open up. It's probably neither one of those, right? It's probably, I believe things always grow and expand, and, there's different resets going on, and, it's an evolutionary process that we just go through. So, at the end of the day, there is no good or bad, right or wrong. It just is. And we have to question, again, 20 years ago, I went through this process, landmark education, landmark forum. I don't know if maybe some of you guys have done that, but the big takeaway from that whole process is life is empty and meaningless, right? It is what it is. But it is, it's all this judgment and all this, what we bring to the experience. It's the meaning we attach. So again, going back to the facts and the feelings, getting, real and raw about ourselves, like, where am I and what meaning am I attaching to this stuff? And appreciating, that we have these filters, and we have these perspectives and these life experiences and these world views that we're bringing it. And if we could just stop for a minute and just disassociate from that, disassociate from ourselves, and just observe, how is Andy thinking? What is Andy like? What thought process is Andy having? What feelings is Andy having about this? Or you? What thoughts are you having? And valid. There's no like respect your thoughts. I mean, you don't have to go on on rants and stuff like that. But certainly in your own company, or with people who you're comfortable with, having open communication with, talk about your feelings, talk about your thoughts and your feelings. We all need that, right? We all have that. And what I see is happening is people go on social media because they're not heard. They don't have an opportunity to speak or to communicate their thoughts and feelings. So what happens? We get repressed emotions, and people go on rants, either in judgments. That's where that goes. So again, just slowing down and appreciating the fact that, hey, I may not see this entire thing for what it is. Let me evaluate my own shade, my own filters, my own veils, if you will, my own world views that are limited. None of us see everything for what it truly is. I mean, maybe we have glimpses or periodic experiences of that, called unity, or, just having this sensation of oneness, inside meditation, or, peak experiences, or sometimes with plant medicine, people do stuff like that. But all these things, we have these sporadic increments of like a unity field, and, being a single state. So the goal of that is, how about just feeling better, right? And sometimes feeling better can be additive. We can add things to our lives to feel better, or we can take away things that are stressing us out, like reduce things in our environment or in our field that is causing us stress, right? Like kind of remove things, people, sometimes places, things. Maybe you're spending too much time on remove watching the news, remove social media, remove allowing yourself to have confrontational, heated debates where you leave not feeling like, oh, wow, that was a cool session. I appreciate you. It was like a sparring session where you express your opinions, I express mine. At the end of the day, I love and appreciate you and honor you. If you're not leaving those situations and you're kind of all worked up, maybe leave that for a little while, or maybe you want to add more things to your life, like taking care of yourself. So again, there's this conversation of adding things to our lives to add more value, add more love, just passion and fun, more light to our lives, while at the same time removing the shade, removing darkness, removing negativity, things that don't serve us, that don't make us feel good. So again, of course, we can't absolutely eliminate all that, but my goal for that is to always try to go to like an 80-20. There's always going to be some issues, but if 80% of my life is working and moving forward and good and positive and productive, living my life through growth and expansion, then I can deal with the 20% or 25% or whatever it is that shows up that stresses me out. I have the capacity where I'm mostly in the shine, feeling positive and charged up, just, kind of dealing with that. So let's talk real quick about the shade. All right. The shade is these world views, our judgments, our ideas about things. It's kind of a filter or like this veil, or these glasses that we have, these shades that we have on, where it kind of overshadows our experience of who and what we are at our core, our deep, I guess more of a soulful, spiritual side to us. Like who we are really, and why are we here? So we kind of lose sense of that. We get caught up in things. So the shade can actually be like this drain on our energy. If we kind of look, we all have to, kind of deal with the negativity sometimes. But if we kind of sit in that space too long, we kind of get a little bit dark, right? We get a little bit negative. So it's the inability to see the light and see what is, or see clearly, right? Just really see the situation for what it is. So we're not perceiving the fullness and the totality of what is, right? We're not, because of these filters and these perspectives and these judgments that we have, which we all have, we're not going to be, but just appreciate for a moment, if you will, that you do have these filters, and just appreciate that, hey, there are other sides to this, to my judgments or my experience or observation of what's going on. So how does shade show up for us? So on a practical metaphor, it's kind of like, going hiking or just walking around life with this huge like backpack of rocks, or like weights. Sometimes when I go rucking or hiking, I'll put like a 40-pound vest on. And that's extra weight. And I want that. I'm choosing to put that on because it's helping to condition me to make me stronger. But I don't need that when I'm running around work. I don't need that just to weigh me down, right? Like I like taking it off. I feel, I can jump higher. I can move faster. But it's dead weight. If I'm not using it specifically for a reason to condition myself, then I'm needlessly just carrying around this dead weight. What's going to happen? I get tired, right? It gets exhausting carrying too much weight. So the other thing sometimes shade looks like is we can just glorify the struggle, glorify the fight, which is fun, but it's a game, right? Keep in mind that sometimes we do battle. Like I'm going to correct myself on that. Like sometimes, life comes up and we have to like really do battle with some stuff, emotionally, major illness, We have some real life hardcore stuff. But my experience, the majority of the stuff that comes up in our lives are, in our heads and our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions. So we glorify this game. We gamify life where it's, left versus right. Democrats, Republicans. It's, those things COVID's, real. Those people thinks it's a hoax. Those are for homeschooling. Those are against, there's everything, everything in life. And those are our modern current events, but they happen all the time. Like you take away COVID, there's always events coming up. There's always issues. There's always things to be upset about, right? So there's no reward. I'm going to credit Blaine for this one because he actually told me. Blaine is our guy who does all my production here. He mentioned last week, he said there's no glory for supporting your team, right? There's no pennant, there's no reward for just supporting who you want to support. Like you want to get into it, you want to have fun, but at the end of the day, who are you fighting for? Like what's your struggle? What are you working for? And are we glorifying the struggle? Is there a reward for how hard we work, or is it more about, just the journey and the experience? So, and do we have to fit in? We have these filters about fitting in, and just showing up for people the way people want us. So we have these ideas of how society wants us to show up, and we try to show up certain ways so we can, fit in socially, like some level of social conformity. Or sometimes we want to be totally against society and be rebellious and show up as an individual. So we have to appreciate, again, all of these thought processes and just ask some questions like, is the purpose of life, to really compete and be better than others? Like, is that life? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but is that for you? Is life to be like everybody else and conform? Or is it to stand out? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Is it to get satisfaction from working hard and grinding? Is it to win? Is it a game? Is it life about winning? These are like some shade questions that really start to step in, or, we often call the ego, which we all have and we all need, but sometimes it can get, a little out of control. So again, it's the realization that we are, in fact, we're not here for other people. We're here with other people. We're not here for others. We're here with each other. Like we're all here together. So that's the truth in my perspective. And we're here to create and experience whatever our heart desires. We're here to enjoy life and create a life that we want. We are at cause. We may choose to put rocks in our backpacks or put a rucking vest on so we can condition. But after we've done our conditioning and our training, take it off. Relax a little bit, enjoy. So, look, there's no real. My observation: there's no link between suffering and winning, or success. We don't really have to win. We don't have to suffer. Sometimes we do, but we don't always have to suffer in order to gain. So just question and observe the glorification of suffering and the struggle, because that seems to be a big thing. Some people think like we have to struggle, we have to fight, we have to deal with the pain. And wise man, wiser than me, once said that pain is a given in life, but suffering is optional. We don't really have to suffer, and suffer again is just that resistance to what is. So, things are a little crazy right now. Like, so what? So what? Nobody's coming to save us. We just have to, have to consider the shift. Consider not spending as much time focusing on the problems, because we get more of what we think about, right? What we focus on magnifies in our life. So if we're focusing on negative, we're going to get more negative. So like, just stop. Like I have to stop myself sometimes. We just stop. We have to kind of derail that train and go on another train of thought. So we talk about the shine or the light or the illumination or the positive side of this. There's a process to do that. How do we go from darkness or the shade or the negativity or the depression or the anxiety to an up level or an upscale frequency? Increase the frequency. When I say frequency, I mean emotion. So how do we level up our frequency to just feel better, right? So the first thing we want to do is just withdraw the attention from this reality, this rat race that's going on, the media. Just take a break. I promise it'll be there when we come back. But these judgments, these have tos, these responsibilities, all these shoulds that I have to do, these things that we're driving ourselves, these expectations and judgments and the grind. We had all these things we have to maybe just put on pause for a little while. Like, we can do that. We can put the world on pause. That's actually one of the best practices that I know of when I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like, I have structures and systems to set up to put the world on pause when I need a break. We all need breaks. So they'll be there when we come back to them, but it's a choice, to come back to our facts, our feelings, and to tune into ourselves. Like, what am I feeling right now, where I'm at, and where do I want to be? So again, this part of accessing the shine is giving myself permission, or giving ourselves or yourself permission to think about what you want, to think about the things that are great, to start to go back, return to appreciation, to return to gratitude, to return to love, to return to inspiration, to love. Really just return to love. Is that what you want to choose? Do you want to choose hate, or you want to choose love? Do you want to choose fear and anxiety? Do you want to choose faith and trust and in me and you? Do you want to trust yourself? A lot of the anxiety that's up and about has a lot to do with not trusting ourselves. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle the situation. Am I going to figure it out? You will figure it out. But that comes with, first we have to focus on what we want. So when we start focusing on what we want, either in meditation or just doing those activities that make us feel better, whether it's talking to people, you have a list, guys. Everybody I work with, whether it's patients or my clients, it's so important to have a list of things that make you feel good, make you happy. These are shift factors, you know what I mean? Things that make you happy. Do you like to paint? Do you like to draw? Do you like to dance? Do you like to listen to music? Do you like to play music? Who can you call? Do you like to read scripture? Do you like to meditate? Do you work out? Do you go hiking? Do you like to garden? Like, whatever. Have those things that you need. Guys, we need them now. Like, if we're stressed out, do more of those things that you love to do. Give yourself a break and just spend more time in the shine, in the light. Like, sit out in the sun, like, be that lizard on a rock. Just suck it up, suck the heat up and photosynthesize. Like, get your shine on, right? So once we start doing that, you'll feel the impulse, you'll feel a signal, okay? And this is, those of you guys who've done this work know what I'm talking about. This may be new to some of you guys. You'll actually get a signal from your body. You'll get a called biofeedback. Your biology, your terrain will start to light up, and you'll start to fire up some of these positive emotions. Your chemistry is going to start to shift from high cortisol, high beta, to dropping to low beta, maybe even to alpha, right? If you kind of get into a flow state, into a zone. And you may feel this somewhere in your body, or you may feel either an activation or a release. Maybe it's additive. Again, you feel, a warming in my chest, or I may feel like good. I may feel energized. I may feel like I could breathe water, or maybe you feel a subtractive or a reduction of tension. Like, maybe my jaw or my shoulders aren't tense, or the knot in your stomach that you had, or like maybe your butt cheeks are tight. You know what I mean? Like there's different areas in your body that you're going to feel tension. So either you're going to feel a warming increase signal, or maybe you're going to feel a reduction of tension somewhere in your body. But pay attention to that, because guess what? That is going to be your gauge. That's your gauge for when you're feeling stressed out. So cultivate a relationship with that signal in your body, whether it's additive or subtracting, a reduction of, and when I feel tense and I relax, this tension goes away, or do I feel a positive, warm, happy, love feeling in my chest or in my abdomen or wherever you feel it? So it's a signal that you're going to feel that is going to start to transmit, right? So we are beings that transmit these signals, right? We emit energy, the consciousness, and that's a whole other conversation that we can get into. But energy, thoughts, and feelings contain information. in the form of consciousness, right? Consciousness has power, it has energy, it transmits. Consciousness is transmissive. And it's amplified by our emotions. So we have a thought and we transmit this thought process through consciousness, and we can amplify that signal with either a positive or a negative emotion. And if we want to amplify these signals, what we're putting out into the world, either a positive or negative, you guys know what I'm talking about. There are people who emit positive energy and radiate positive energy, and there are people who radiate negative energy. Who do you want to be, right? And the way to be that is to, if you want to, emit more negativity, it's easy. Have more negative thoughts and more negative feelings and express it. If you want to transmit more positive and productive signals, you want to have positive, productive thoughts and amplify with those positive feelings of love, gratitude, appreciation, freedom, to displace the shade, the negativity, and just let that go out. And guess what? What we put out comes back to us. So the more positive energy, the more love, the more freedom, the more possibility, growth and expansion, that those ideas, those thoughts, and those conversations are put out into the universe, more of that is going to come back to us. We're going to receive more of that. We put more negative, throw more shade, we're going to get more shade. We're going to get more resistance. The world is going to be battling us. The world is going to be against us. You're going to get more conflict. So you choose. Neither is right or wrong. So again, that's really the simple formula. The solution is to just get present. It's not that hard, guys. I'll quote, one of my buddies, Jesse Elder, says this all the time. It's appreciating how easy it is. That's the hardest part of shifting from the shade to the shine, or from negative to positive, is just, it's going to take a long time for me to get it. No, it's not. It could be, but it doesn't have to take so much time. It just has to start with your attention and intention. I want to feel better. What can I focus on? All right. And having that list of things that what you can focus on, that lifts you up, right? What charges you up. So the shine charges us. The shine adds vitality to us. So these tools and these emotions will amplify those positive feelings. And sometimes we may need to go on a fast. All right. Beautiful Mind is a great movie. You guys may have seen that with Russell Crowe. It's like he deals with this schizophrenia. And the whole process of the movie is how he selectively disassociates from these people, these hallucinations that he's seeing, which is a result of schizophrenia. So he just ignores them. We call selective ignorance, right? Selective ignorance is ignoring. You're selecting or choosing to ignore that which doesn't serve you, that which is dark, that which is non-useful or productive for you. Okay. So it often, sometimes it has to be radical. So, sometimes we're so crazy, we have to remove ourselves from this experience. And like, I was a couple of weeks ago, I was feeling pretty stressed. So I set up a date with my youngest son, Drew, who's 10 years old, but we went horseback riding. Like, we haven't done that in a long time. We drove an hour to northern Jersey, and we spent 2 hours just riding horses, like really different type of activities. So I encourage you guys, if you feel like you're in the depths of it and your normal routines of taking yourself out of these stress states isn't working, consider something a little bit more radical. Like, don't hurt yourself. You have to, and you can do that. Some people, that's why people do things like, they cut themselves, or they, do these sometimes even, radical feats that look, rock climbing, or, free climbing, or big wave surfing, or stuntmen, stuff like that. It's to get into this flow state, to kind of get out of this rat race of this BS that is going on, that can be consuming. Sometimes we call it society. So again, we just find something to appreciate, and what can I do that's positive and productive, that can kind of like slap me upside the head to pull me out. Tony Robbins calls it a pattern interrupt. Okay, some of you guys may be familiar with that term. Sometimes we need a big bad pattern interrupt to pull us out. Sometimes we need to work out really hard to the point that we throw up. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you need to just leave. Sometimes you need to sit, for 2 or 3 hours in the dark. Do something that's really radically. Please don't hurt yourself, or maybe you need to fast for a day. Do something a little bit radical to kind of reset your system, because we're kind of, we get caught up in this. So we can have these practices. So consider that. So there are a lot of tools here. And this is a time, guys, I want to start wrapping up a little bit. It is a time of change. Like you can't deny that. Like things are moving, things are shifting. There's a lot going on. So the survival of the fittest is worth upholding right now. We want to be a fit avatar. We want to cultivate a sharp mind. We want to have a fit body, whatever that means, because things are going to change. Things are changing radically right now. Our culture, our society, the rules of the game that we played a year ago is not the game that we're playing right now. So those of you guys who have not read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? It's a small book. It's a really good time to maybe consider picking that book up. One of my favorites, and I read it often every time there's a change in my life. And the long and short of the book is, things change. So we can either sit and hem and haw over the what we had and what used to be, and we used to have these wells of abundance and awesomeness and love, and they're not there anymore. So we have to actually get off our rear ends and recreate and find new things. Energy. I made a post in one of my groups, and we had conversations this week about, does the goodness go away? Does all good things come to an end? And my opinion on that is a hard no. Things may come to an end, but the underlying currency or the energy of love, of gratitude, appreciation, awesomeness does change, right? That stuff changes. So the things change, but the form doesn't. So that energy, which is neither created or destroyed, is just going to change states. So the moving of the cheese requires us to get off our rear ends and find new joy. We may just tap the wells on one thing, but it doesn't mean it's dead. It just means that it's on us to go source a new a well of awesomeness. All right, so that requires the work. That's some work. So that requires energy. That requires flexibility, adaptability, perspective, physical energy and vitality to be able to move. So real quick, I just want to summarize before we finish up on the alchemization of stress. Again, the shift from the shade to the shine. If you want to take a couple notes on this, feel free to do so. But again, it's just about getting centered. The first thing we want to do is get centered, check in with our body. We could do a progressive relaxation. Just get present. What are the facts? What are the feelings? Get real, get raw. Like, what is it? What's going on now? And how do I feel about it? Then get specific about, now that I know where I am, what do I want? Okay, focus on that. Think about it, maybe put ourselves in a new state, a new situation, talk to new people, write down, create, what do you want? Think about it, feel about it. And the most important thing is to appreciate that and get into it, have fun with it, get excited. What if life could be this way? What if you could, not saying it's going to happen, but what if you could generate those feelings, generate those frequencies. Guys, there's this misconception, and those of you guys who work with me heard me say this quite often, that we kind of go through life that when this happens, I'll be happy. When I get this, I'll be happy. And consider the possibility that it's just the opposite. When you feel good about X, then you'll get it. When I feel good, when I have the feelings of health and vitality, then I'll get it. When I feel what it's like to be my ideal weight, when I feel, and I feel that, I know what it feels, and I just cultivate and focus on those feelings, that's what's going to draw that energy towards me. And that's what's going to draw me towards taking inspired action to align and unify with that frequency. So the next step is just that we're going to be called to take specific action that is aligned with that frequency or those feelings, that which we're trying to achieve, right? So feel the feelings you want, be open and aware, be sharp for inspired action, and your thoughts to download from the universe or wherever, your subconscious is going to give you messages in thoughts and feelings and emotions or agendas. It's say, look, do this. It's going to give you ideas on things that we can do. So follow that. That's your path, right? So that's our path. We have to follow our path. So work on that and stay true to your path. And then again, take the action and receive the benefits. Like we receive the amazingness, but we have to be willing to walk the walk and do that work to get to where we need to be. And in closing, we just want to remind everybody of the greatest freedom. Again, this is my buddy Jesse Elder talks about this. I learned this from him, so I'm giving him full credit for this. The greatest freedom is allowing others to experience life on their terms. Okay, it just is. So we can deal with a lot more of that these days. Just live and let live. You know what I mean? Obviously, when people are trying to hurt people and stuff like that, but appreciate again that some people are in the shade, some people are in the shine. And we just have to allow, people are going to be there as long as they want to be there. So allow people, including yourself, to experience life on their terms. That means let them have their opinions, let them have their judgments, let them have their awesomeness, and let them have their insanity. Like, it's not for us to tie up in that type of karma. You know, it's not like let people live and let live type of thing. So I want to finish up with that. I want to say thank you for you guys, for your time, for joining us. And yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. And again, total appreciation for Blaine, for helping me out, for putting these productions together. And if you guys have any comments about this information and these conversations that we talked about, we're going to do more of this. I was inspired to do this training just because of what I'm seeing going on in social media. And again, I know a lot of you guys are following me for eye-related issues. And if you want more information, you can go to our YouTube page for all my videos or come to some of our Facebook groups. Feel free to ask questions or open dialogues. And just wishing you guys absolute love, peace, and prosperity, and love and light. So take care. Have a great evening, guys. Wishing you peace and love from the bottom of my heart, and we'll see you soon next time. Okay, bye-bye.